much of the Mesozoic, one branch of dinosaurs was steadily transforming ecosystems on a global scale: the Ornithischians, the so-called bird-hip dinosaurs. Defined by their backwards-pointing pubic bone and beak-like mouths adapted for cropping vegetation, they were not just one type of animal, they were an entire spectrum of different forms. At their core, they were herbivores. Some developed massive horns and sprawling frills, others transformed into living fortresses wrapped in armor and spikes. Some carried rows of plates along their backs, while others evolved into long-legged herd-moving grazers built for covering ground. Across forests, floodplains, and coastal regions, they were often the defining feature of those ecosystems. They remained constant, evolving and adapting while the world around them changed. But of course, as they came in many different forms, so did they in sizes, where many of them reached quite significant weights. For today's video, those that are considered Megaornithischians are those that reach above 5 tons in weight, or approximately the weight of an African elephant. But before we dive any deeper into these giants and specialists, there's a key step. This is understanding the main groups that fit inside this structure. And well, there are the 4 big families consisting of Ankylosauridae, Ceratopsidae, Stegosaurid, and Hadrosauridae. Ankylosauridae were specialized for defense above all else. They were often covered in heavy armor, bony osteoderms that embedded their skin, often being carried with a powerful clubbed tail. Their broad reinforced skulls and beaked mouths were suited for feeding on low-grown vegetation. Compared to other herbivores, Ankylosaurus invested almost entirely into passive defense, making them some of the most heavily fortified animals to ever exist. Then there's Ceratopsidae, being emphasized by display and confrontation. They are most often recognized by their parrot-like beaks. Obviously not, their large frills and prominent horns are really what made them into true stars. These features likely played a role in visual signaling, species recognition, and more likely than not, intraspecific conflict. I mean, when some of the species within your family grow large enough to take on Tyrannosaurus rex, then you know they get big. Moving on, we have Stegosaurid, which represents a different sort of strategy. They are most often highlighted by their rows of plates that go along their back, and on some occasions their spiked tails, the latter potentially serving as a primary defensive weapon. The plates themselves were relatively thin and were likely used for display or thermoregulation rather than true protection. They aren't particularly known for their giants, but trust me, they have a few. And of course, we have Hadrosauridae, which took a completely different path. They evolved highly complex dental systems made up of hundreds of replacing teeth, which allowed them to grind away at a wide range of plant material. Fossil evidence tends to suggest that they lived in groups, indicating a significant level of social complexity. In contrast with the other heavily armored dinosaurs, hadrosaurs relied less on obvious weaponry. So good day everybody, I hope you're doing well, and in today's video I'm covering pretty much every single Ornithischian that ever existed. As always, if you enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe so I don't go extinct like the dinosaurs in these videos, and I mean, please, like and subscribe. There was a lot of research that I put into this video, but of course, most importantly, enjoy. As for how these dinosaurs will be ranked, well, everything comes down to weight. That is the dividing line between tiers, not length, not height, but overall mass. This system would scale upwards, from grade 4 being the lightest in this lineup, through to special grade, which would be the absolutely heaviest of the group. These dinosaurs were compared alongside humans and an elephant as to illustrate their pure size even further. And just to keep in the back of your mind, the average African elephant weighs about 5 tons. With that in place, everything is set. Now it is time to break down which of these Ornithischians truly push the limits of size. So to start off, we of course have our honorable mentions. These mainly consist of Ornithischians that have debated sizes, lacking evidence, or are pretty fragmentary in nature. Take Brachioceratops, a late Cretaceous Ceratopsian that gets murky really fast. It likely falls somewhere in the 5 or 6 ton range, but still I couldn't place it confidently on this list. Then there's Priconodon, which goes further back into the early Cretaceous. This one's even more ambiguous, being possibly related to the Nodosaurids. The big issue of course that it is so fragmentary that even classification isn't fully secure. Size-wise, there just isn't enough to say anything with full confidence, but it does seem that it may be the largest of the Ankylosaur family. I also have to throw Iguanodon into the honorable mentions, as although there are studies pointing its largest sizes to be around 5 or 6 tons, there's still a bit of discussion around it. And finally Hypsobema, which has a long and complicated history. It is comfortably in the multi-ton range, but again the material is too incomplete to lock in cleanly. So yeah, those are some of the more fragmentary dinosaurs that need a bit more evidence to comfortably place them in that mega range. So it is now time to kick it up a notch with the grade 4 Megaornithischians. These are the ones that sit in the 5 to 6 ton range. Large animals around the size of elephants, but not quite at the top. Starting off our list, we have Kamui from late Cretaceous Japan. It is measured around 8 meters long or 26 feet in length and pushed roughly 5 tons in weight. This is not a lightweight hadrosaur, being more in line with the bigger ones we see in North America rather than something that you might expect from this location. Then there's Iguana colossus, and I'm glad I could put one iguanodon into this area. It lived in North America during the early Cretaceous, reaching around 9 meters or 30 feet long and about 5 tons in weight. It had a thick and solid build, being a heavy-duty herbivore. Now shifting into Stegosaurids, we have Ankylosaurus. This late Jurassic giant measures around 7 meters or 23 feet in length and sat in at the same 5-ton bracket. This had that classic Stegosaur setup: low body, small head, and a tail that was clearly not just for show. Closely related is Hesperosaurus, which also lived in North America during the late Jurassic. It was similar in size, reaching around 7 meters or 23 feet in length and around 5 tons in weight. Then you've got Ceratopsian, which takes things into a different direction. This Ankylosaurid also measured around 7 meters or 23 feet in length and 5 tons in weight, carrying thick back plating that would have been able to absorb quite a bit of damage. And smacked right into the middle of grade 4 is Stegosaurus itself, growing around 7 meters or 23 feet in length and roughly around 5 tons. It is the benchmark for this body plan. It was just able to edge out over its other relatives because it has a bit more evidence backing it up. And of course, we have the many species of Parasaurolophus, probably one of the most recognizable names in this video. It would have sat around 5.5 to 6 tons in weight depending on the species that you want to use. Still, they were roughly around the same weight. Of course, the most distinctive feature was not their size, but rather their curved crest that would have likely played a role in communication, possibly producing deep resonating sounds that would have echoed through their landscape. Finally, to close off grade 4, we have Lurdosaurus, an African iguanodon from the early Cretaceous. It immediately stands out at around 9 meters or 30 feet in length and roughly around 5.5 tons in weight. But with grade 4 wrapped up, we now move into our grade 3 giants. This is where these animals stop feeling merely large and start feeling immovable. Herbivores built to hold ground at around 6 to 7 tons. Our first star in this grade is Ankylosaurus, our classic 8 meter or 26 foot, roughly 6 ton giant. This is of course the figure that everyone knows as the dinosaur that even Tyrannosaurus Rex would be too scared to take on. However, you may have thought it to be a lot heavier. The thing is, even the higher estimates that push it towards 8 tons haven't held up well under recent work, and honestly, even those that did those studies weren't fully confident in the figure themselves. Then there's Lanzosaurus, an iguanodontid from the early Cretaceous of China. It measured around 10 meters or 33 feet in length and sat comfortably at around 7 tons. What sets it apart isn't just its size, but it's the teeth, having proportionately some of the largest teeth of other herbivorous dinosaurs its own size. Now we have Tyrannosaurus, a hadrosaurus from the late Cretaceous that measured around 10 meters or 33 feet in length and around 7 tons. I'll be honest, the fossils here are a bit incomplete, so there is some uncertainty, but it's closely related to Parasaurolophus, possibly being close enough to blur the line between them. Then walks in our first Ceratopsian of this grade, being Titanoceratops. This ceratopsid would have measured around 9 meters or 30 feet in length and weighed in roughly at 6.5 tons. Some would argue that this isn't just about defense, it is about presence. And to round it out, we have Saurolophus, another hadrosaurid. This dinosaur was found in both North America and Asia, where it would have reached around 9 to 12 meters or 30 to 39 feet in length and about 6.9 tons in weight, right at the upper edge of this tier. Now, to give this dinosaur its credit, there are some estimates that place it into grade 1 or even special grade levels of weight, but to be as accurate as possible, it's sticking in here for now. But with that, that's the end of grade 3, and now we step into grade 2. These are Megaornithischians that reach around 7 to 8 tons in weight. Here, the animals start feeling truly massive, the kind that reshapes their landscape simply by walking through them. Warming us into this very short grade, we have Brachylophosaurus, a hadrosaurid from the late Cretaceous North America. It would have measured around 11 meters or 36 feet in length and 7 tons in weight. Moving on with Dacenturus, being a Stegosaurid from Europe's late Cretaceous. Measuring around 8 meters or 26 feet in length and about 7.4 tons, it's obviously built like a living tank. Closing off our grade 2 is Edmontosaurus regalis, being again another hadrosaur. This ornithischian measured around 12 meters or 39 feet in length and a weight of around 7.6 tons. Now imagine seeing a herd of these fellas just at this size. With grade 2 completed, we now move on to grade 1. This would include Megaornithischians that weighed in at around 8 to 9 tons in weight. Here we have Barzoboldia, a hadrosaurid from Mongolia. Now this just sits right at the edge of this tier, measuring around 10 meters or 33 feet long and a weight of around 8 tons. While the fossils may be incomplete, we do know that this was one big hadrosaur. But yeah, that's basically it for grade 1. I mean, everything else just comfortably sits way above into the special grade tier. So yes, now we've hit the finale. The special terrestrial grade Megaornithischians. This is where things stop being large and start getting borderline absurd. These are herbivores that pushed past 9 tons, some of them brushing up against the lower end of sauropod territory. Before we jump into these giants, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching so far, and make sure to comment down below what your favourite Megaornithischian actually is. Starting off our finale, we have Magnapolia, a hadrosaurid from North America. This fella would have measured around 30 meters or 43 feet in length and weighed roughly around 9.7 tons. And that in itself could be argued to be a conservative figure, with some estimates pushing it past 10 tons. At this point, this isn't just a duck-billed dinosaur, it is firmly placed into heavyweight territory. But move out of the way hadrosaurs, now the Ceratopsians step in. Torosaurus, an obvious ceratopsid, stretches around 10 meters or 33 feet in length, and its high-end estimates put it at around 10 tons. It is not just big, it is a herbivore that most predators would look the other way. Right along its side, we have Eotriceratops, of course another Ceratopsian. Now this giant measured around 10 meters or 33 feet in length and again around 10 tons in weight. I have seen some debate about its validity and where it really places among the Ceratopsians. And then of course we have Triceratops, including Prorus and Horridus. These two measured around 9 meters or 30 feet in length, with upper estimates placing them both around 11 tons in weight. This was your classic trike, 3 horns, a solid frill and a body built for tanking. This is for now the Ceratopsian design that pushed it to its absolute limit, being more than capable of standing its ground even against predators like Tyrannosaurus Rex. But even here, the Ceratopsians have to bow their heads, as the real heavyweights start to emerge in the form of the hadrosaurs. Right behind the winner, we have Montosaurids annectens, a hadrosaurid that would have exceeded 12 meters or 39 feet in length, with its weight estimates reaching up to 15 tons. This is a dinosaur that could have rivaled smaller sauropods in sheer mass. And don't get me wrong, I love Tyrannosaurus Rex, but I don't think even the king of the dinosaurs would be able to take down a 15-ton giant, not without some serious injuries. And of course, I could imagine you all could guess what is the king of all the Megaornithischians. I'll give you a moment. Have you written it down? Have you commented it? Perfect, you have Shantungosaurus, a hadrosaurid that could push the limits of what Ornithischians could be. From late Cretaceous China, it would have measured around 14 to 16 meters or 46 to 52 feet in length and comfortably over 10 tons. But here, 10 tons is just the baseline. Estimates push it up to 18 or even 20 tons. At that scale, you are not just looking at the largest Ornithischians, you are looking at one of the largest non-sauropod terrestrial animals to have ever walked the planet. This would have rivaled and maybe even surpassed mammalian giants Paraceratherium and Paleoloxodon. Some even argue that it was larger than the resident sauropod that lived in its ecosystem. But with that, we have reached the end of the video and I hope you've all enjoyed it. As always, make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below what you'd like to see next. I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya mates.